So because of negative public comments, the Corpus Christi Convention and Visitors Bureau has decided to seek private funding for the downtown Christmas festival.
Brian Burns joins us now from the news desk with more. Brian?
Well, the CVB last month put in a request for matching Type B board funding. That funding would have provided organizers with a Christmas tree to replace the city tree that had deteriorated with age. City officials decided not to use the $500,000 tree last year because of safety concerns. After some consideration, the Bureau decided to rescind their request and opt for private donations for the tree and the festival that coincides with Harper Lights.
So we will get corporations to help pay for the different elements of the festival. And we actually have some very generous individuals that have given money to help with the festival, and so we're off and running.
While the hotel occupancy tax or hot tax provides funds for the CVB, that money can't be used for festivals or the purchase of a tree. Type B funds are earmarked for economic development, housing, and some street repairs. The festival and tree qualified as economic development to draw tourists, but the negative feedback was enough to make the CVB find funding elsewhere. Mackenzie?
All right, thank you.